a January Nintendo Direct. No, a February Nintendo Direct. No Nintendo Direct. I'm sure you've heard all of this recently, and so today we're breaking down the latest rumors and leaks about when exactly the next Nintendo Direct is going to take place, so you can be ready and have your expectations gauged appropriately. Maybe circle a day or two in the calendar. So good morning, Mario, and good morning, Switch fans. Hope you're all doing awesome out there. The Direct stuff has started to heat up because the holidays are over, people are bored, and what's next on the gaming calendar? Well, it's actually an Xbox Developer Direct next week, which is going to feature Indiana Jones and some exciting things. But for Nintendo fans, it's all about the early year Direct. And this year is extra exciting and extra enticing because many are expecting a new console to be unleashed, as well as a bunch of very large games. There is huge hype around stuff like Metroid Prime 4 and a new 3D Mario, so the next Direct means a lot, especially because the most recent Direct was filled mainly with remakes, remasters, and a lot of things that we knew. There wasn't really one big, giant, crazy moment, although all of my Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door fans will definitely disagree. I am excited for that one, but the next Direct has a lot of buzz around it. And we've had a number of different sources comment on this Direct in the last few days, and so I want to bring it all together and give you my thoughts and kind of tell you who's right and who's wrong, because I think it's pretty clear. But anyways, what's going on, everybody? It's Zach from SwitchForce. Hope you're doing awesome out there. I also want to let you know that Smash Bros. Announced the new spirits that will be dropping starting January 11th. They're introducing new spirits from Tears of the Kingdom and Splatoon 3, as well as Xenoblade Chronicles and Pikmin 4. So we are getting a bunch of new spirits for 5 days in a row. Finally, some new content for Smash Bros. Maybe not a brand new Fighters Pass like we dreamed of, but hey, at least they are supporting this game years later. We're talking 5+ years later, they're still supporting this game. Animal Crossing fans could only dream of support this grand. And so I think even though it's a small thing with Spirit Board stuff, we still have to say, okay, golf clap for Nintendo. Thank you for bringing it to us so late in the cycle. And this late in the cycle also inspires plenty of stockholders as Nintendo's share price has risen to a record high. Now you might say, why? The only game they've got coming out this month is another code, which is very niche and not going to be a massive mega million seller, but alas, it is because of the Switch 2 hype. There is so much hope and hype around the next system, and we know that's a very lucrative, profitable, and just exciting, marketable time for a big platform holder like Nintendo. The stockholders believe it, I believe it, a lot of other people believe it, but it sure does seem like an announcement will be soon, and that plays a role in why the stock price is so high, as well as some more nuanced things, such as the fact that they expect Saudi Arabian oil money to buy up more gaming stock, which could cause an influx for Nintendo, and I'm sure there's other factors as well, but it's good to see that Nintendo's stock price is at a record high. Wish I would have bought it in the Wii U era, because I'm sure there was big bucks to be made, but alas, Nintendo's success is all we need, and that's why the Direct is so darn exciting. So we kick it off with what typically happens. Nintendo typically does a February Direct. 5 years in a row, they have done a February Direct. Now back in 2018, they did a March Direct. It was the first week of March, very, very close to February. And in 2017, they did an April Direct, which seems odd, but remember that January, they had their big Switch reveal presentation, and then February and March were all about launching the system and prepping people with commercials for those games, so there wasn't really a lot of need for a Direct until April. That being said, February has been the time of choice, the month of choice, for Nintendo ever since this generation really got underway. I think everybody looks at the calendar and says, bingo, February is when it will be. But there's an interesting boomerang that has thrown itself into the equation this year, which is the fact that Nintendo does need to announce their new console. Typically, historically, Nintendo has not made major hardware announcements in their Nintendo Directs. Those things have been kept separately. You might remember seeing a nice commercial for the Switch with everybody on rooftops and gathering around systems. That dropped randomly on their YouTube channel. It wasn't something that was part of a larger presentation. And when Nintendo launched and announced the Switch OLED and the Switch Lite, those also existed as separate videos, not part or tied into a larger Direct presentation. So I think what really is throwing people off here is we've got two big things that need to happen. One, a Nintendo Direct for games and services, but 2, a hardware announcement that most likely will be kept separate. Now, there are some people that believe it will be together because Nintendo will want to show off games that tie in, but I personally believe it's going to be separate. I think we'll have a hardware event, and I think we'll have a direct. When those occur, which comes first, is a bit trickier, because are there enough Switch games left to have a Switch dedicated direct without announcing the system first? Because inevitably, once the system's announced, then the next direct can include Switch 2 games and showcase the changes, the upgrades, the differences, and exciting new projects that might even be years down the road. I think one of the hard things about recent directs is we don't have a ton of projects years down the road until we announce this next system. We can't really reveal the next big things until the thing you're playing it on actually comes to play. Now, the 2 big leaks/rumors that we've gotten are from Jeff Grubb and from Zippo. And let's cover Zippo first, because Zippo's is a bit more outlandish. Zippo posted on his personal blog that Nintendo Direct season is coming very soon. He said, "I'm hearing from the usual sources that Nintendo is planning a direct to air this very month," talking about January. Now, January would be a very odd time for a Nintendo Direct. And I'm just going to say, frankly, I think Zippo just is hypothesizing here. I don't think there's some major source giving this info, and I don't think this info is very legit. I think this is half hopium, half copium, trying to really figure out, are they going to do a hardware reveal and then a direct, and so maybe there is some sort of January presentation that leads into a February presentation. I can't see why Nintendo would want to shift their usual cycle and their usual marketing calendar other than for a hardware announcement. And because we know that they're not making a hardware announcement almost assuredly in the direct itself, January does not make a lot of sense to me. If you were going to say Nintendo, they heard, had a hardware reveal in January, okay, I could buy into that. Although it seems like the hardware reveal will probably take place more around March or April. That's just based on kind of looking at the time frame and what seems to make sense. I do think there will still be a direct beforehand. For one, we've got a number of games that still need more details. Games like Princess Peach Showtime, Mario vs. Donkey Kong, and the aforementioned Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door remake. We've got ratings boards for all of those games, meaning they are coming soon. We are going to be getting Paper Mario, Luigi's Mansion 2, Princess Peach, and Mario vs. DK quickly here. I think Nintendo has proven that they can take a direct and they can stretch the material very far. They can throw in the entire overview trailer into the direct and chew up 5 minutes. They can toss in a bunch of indie games and house a long-form indie world within the direct. They can get third parties to port titles over and put an extensive focus on them, or they can just find a bunch more farming games, because there's never a dearth of farming titles creeping up from the soil. So I think there will be a direct, and I feel like Jeff Grubb, who recently said on a Giant Bomb live stream, you can always count on a Nintendo Direct in February. It is almost certainly going to happen in February again. Now, this is him hypothesizing based on past history, kind of like we did a few minutes ago, though people were taking this to mean, boom, Jeff Grubb is leaking that there's a direct in February. Now, Jeff Grubb himself clarified, saying, "Hey, I wasn't claiming any special knowledge. I was just talking about how there is almost always one in February, just like everyone else already knows. Please." Now, we could have a whole separate conversation and how I think these analysts, insiders, journalists, their attitude towards this whole thing of oh, people took my words and made an article again. Dude, to me, that just is the most jaded attitude ever. You're popular, you have a big presence, you have a ton of followers, people respect you, people listen to you, and you're going to act confused that you said there's almost certainly going to be a direct in February and people are running with it. I don't know. I just find that to be a very weird response, and it seems like, oh gosh, the gaming audience is so exhausting. No, people are just excited. If you don't want to talk about the direct, don't talk about it. Why are you talking about it? The only reason you're talking about it is because you think it's going to happen and because you know people want to listen to you. Otherwise, you wouldn't be on a live stream talking about it. So you can't have your cake and eat it too. Either you're a popular person that people want to hear from because they trust and believe their opinions, whether it's a rumor, a leak, or just conjecture, but then you can't also say oh, people don't take my words so seriously. I was just I don't know. Separate topic. But he's saying he has no special info. It's just based on the fact that Historically, Nintendo does use February, and as we showed, yes, historically, Nintendo does use February, and it seems like a fine time to really fill in the Q1 and Q2 releases, especially before the big summer. I don't know. I mean, summer's usually big, but there's no E3, and we don't know what Nintendo's big summer release will be. Oftentimes, they have a Mario game, so no. Because they've got Mario vs. Donkey Kong coming out earlier. I guess they could have Paper Mario. I guess Paper Mario could be a June release, although I feel like it's going to come even earlier, as I think Nintendo is really kind of trying to like truncate this release schedule to get all these games out before they do fully really dive into Switch 2 marketing and they Switch 2 launch cycle. Alas, that's really where we're at. I think a February Direct is much more likely. I would not put much credence into the January Direct rumors. I think that's just wishful thinking, and I think it's people like taking the idea that Nintendo could announce hardware at any time and running with it. I think more than likely, Nintendo will wait a few months to announce hardware. And my prediction, my best guess as someone that's covered Nintendo extensively, day after day after day after day for years and years and years now, is that they will do a Direct first that's focused on Switch games and upcoming titles to sort of set the scene for the current Switch owners for the next 6 months. And then they will move forward into Switch 2 territory. Because it's also very likely that there will be some Switch 1 games that also are playable on Switch 2 and vice versa. How they go about upgrading those, improving those, better settings, better graphics, I don't know. But I do believe there will be some crossover titles, at least a few of them, and therefore a Direct that does announce, say, Metroid Prime 4 for 2024 can also apply to the future when they say, huzzah, here it is running even better on a Switch 2. Like, you've already seen it on Switch 1, and I think there's a very high possibility that they do that. They show off a game running first on Switch 1, and then later you get to see it on Switch 2 to really highlight the difference and really impress you and show that, hey, this is significantly better. Because if they just start airing Switch 2 trailers, especially with online compression and things, it's going to be hard to tell exactly, like, what is so different. Unless it's, like, just absolutely mind-numbingly incredible, which it could be, I guess, but I think this is going to be a bit more of a nuanced jump. I think it's going to be an important big jump, but I think in terms of just like seeing it, I don't know that you're going to instantly feel like it screams Switch 2. Anyhow, I think we get a Direct in February that focuses on currently announced and maybe a few upcoming Nintendo Switch games, plus third parties and indies, and then I think we get that special Nintendo hardware reveal, whether it's a trailer, a live stream, a special reveal. I don't know how Nintendo will handle it. They were coming off a position of weakness last time. They had the trailer drop first in the fall. Then in January had their big reveal event, which was super cool, and that sort of highlighted a ton of different games and really established the launch lineup for Nintendo Switch and some things beyond, like Mario Odyssey. I could see them utilizing a similar pattern, but again, they're operating from a position of industry leader instead of industry doghouse, so maybe that does change how they go about things. To me, it would be shocking if they utilize a Nintendo Direct as the time to reveal hardware, because Nintendo's proven time and time and time again that's not where it happens. And because we don't have a big E3 show, and Nintendo doesn't really like go all out for Jeff Keighley, I feel like it's going to be a very separate event that is constructed as a hardware reveal, and they'll do that independently of any of these other shows. So you should be excited for February. I think it could be earlier in February. That's very plausible. But if I had to just cherry pick and look, I'm saying the second or third week of February is when you should really sort of pinpoint, look there, pick a day, and that is probably when it will take place. I'm sure as we approach February, we'll have better leaks from people like Nate Drake and even Necrophilippe and even our favorite Pioro, who's never been wrong, in terms of what exactly is going to be there, when exactly it is, and how much we can expect Nintendo to show off and reveal. But let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. It still is getting very exciting. Like, this entire year is going to be on pins and needles, waiting for Nintendo to drop exciting info about not only hardware, but the projected games lineup, which is going to be incredible by all accounts. It's going to be exciting. It starts here, and I think February is where we really get the ball rolling. In the meantime, stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, stay positive out there. Love you lots. SwitchForce out.